Just got out of the cellar, the warm-up for our first night at Tulley Shocktober Fest. So now, that was really good. Wasn't the scariest thing I've ever seen, but a really good warm-up for the night. Great music, great vibes. Walked straight into the maze, no queue. Thank God we didn't buy fast tracks because the queue's not that long. We're gonna go just hunt whatever comes next. Just came out of the island. Very light on actors. People behind us didn't help. Just talking through the whole thing. But whatever. Chainsaw bit was good. Let's go. Gonna go towards Wasteland Penitentiary next. That, and then we walked past Electric Circus and the queue is tiny, so we have some spooky clowns. Electric Circus really good, much better than the island, about the same level as the cellar. I know I was maybe a bit too comfortable with the cellar, but I don't know, we'll see. Just came out of the chop shop, lots of chainsaws, a bit samey, but if you don't like chainsaws, that's going to be an extreme one. So we're going to head over, good timing, yeah.
My big axe. My name's Bertha. You don't want to know what I do with Bertha?
What do you do with Bertha?
You can find out.
That was so good. Very Asylum at Thorpe Park throwback, with a few deader spots. I'm starting to get this feeling that they don't have as many actors tonight as they usually do, but all the set piecing and theming is fantastic, and that was so good. So now we're going to go Doomtown. Been on 5 mazes in a little over an hour, so we had a little break, hot chocolate brownie. We're going to go into Doomtown. Doomtown was breathtaking, so now we're off to another one. Got some really good scares in there, not too intense, but that was just too good. That was too good. That's probably something to go back to and do again, for sure. Taking a very quick break at Bentley's, try a burger. We've got about 25 minutes until the queues close. Just did a triple whammy of Coven 13, Elements and Creepy Cottage. Coven was my favourite, Creepy Cottage, Elements was awful. Time to eat and then get on the Haunted Hayride.
Hello there, I'm Poker, by the way.
And there we have it. Our evening came to an end, and time to offer final thoughts and reviews and first impressions. I'm actually filming this the day after. We had a horrible time coming back. Closures on the M25. Got back about 1:30ish, much later than we first anticipated. I'll start off with just a couple of points that weren't my favourite. It was a fantastic night overall, bear this in mind. I think somehow I might have built my expectations a little too high. Just a little too high on the extremeness of the mazes. Even though I knew a couple of them were going to be a little less scary, less intense. I have seen reviews and vlogs and stuff in the past, so I knew which mazes I was going to go, yeah, this isn't looking so hot from other people's recommendations. But even so, with the other ones, maybe I've just been in too many Halloween events to feel scared as I used to. One of the other negatives I think builds into the first one is, I think again there was almost a thinness of actors in some areas. In some mazes, some set pieces, clearly actors were meant to be there to facilitate effects and moments in the mazes where there was no person there. But overall, still had an absolutely amazing time. It's probably my favourite Halloween thing I've ever done. I've been to plenty of Scarefests, Halloweens, Fright Nights, etc. That was my first time at one of the Scream parks, so it was definitely a different experience there. I think my main highlight, which I didn't really talk about, was the hayride. That was so fun. The character interaction on the tractors, the effects, some of the set pieces, the way it was presented, it was all just fun and a bit campy, and the actors were so high energy, and this was right at the end of the night and they were still going. So I think, you know, props to them. I don't know what the differences were between this year's Route 666 and the previous years, but it was very fun, very memorable. In terms of my favourite mazes, I think my favourite overall, looking back in retrospect, was probably Wasteland's Penitentiary. I loved the disorientation of the strobes. It took me back to, as I said, when I first came out, it took me back to Asylum at Thorpe Park. Really good memories, high energy. That was one of the ones which I actually thought they had plenty of actors in. There weren't too many dead spots in that one. Another really strong maze for me was the cellar in prison. That was one that I was really excited for. One that I'd seen a lot about in the past and heard a lot about, and that was so much fun. I also really insanely, it wasn't scary, but I was insanely impressed with Doomtown. I'd heard so many awesome things about Doomtown in the past, and I think my expectations were met for that one. Again, I knew it wasn't going to be the scariest, but I had heard and seen bits about how amazing the set design was on that, and the actual experience of going through was second to none. I've seen nothing like it in any scare attraction before, and that is one for that park to be super proud of. And that was one of the ones where we got to the end of that attraction and we wondered whether it would be worth going back for a rerun through that. And thinking about run-throughs, we do wish we had done some run-throughs. It was great that, despite the fact that we were there about an hour and a half after opening due to traffic and getting off work on time, but we did manage to get through all of the scare mazes and the haunted hayride by the end of the night without using any fast tracks. That was one thing I was worried about, because I don't see it about it as much, but you can, if you go on one of the days where it has, because it shows you the availability. We went on one of the bright green days. We managed to get through all of it. Although the only thing we didn't get to do was see the Circus of Horrors. That is something we also would have liked to have seen. And personally, I quite like fire and light shows, and I was hoping to see that, but I don't think they were doing fire and light show on that evening. They had it come up on the screen, but just no filling in for the times. And with the Circus of Horrors, I don't think it was clear enough to find out what times that show would be on. Maybe it just wasn't actually on last night, but I do know that they tour as well, so I'm hoping that when they come near me that we'll be able to do it then. We also absolutely loved all the actors and the street theatre. Great interactions with a couple of inmates who broke out. Great interactions with a couple of vampires while we were having a short break. They were super fun. In regards to the other mazes, Electric Circus was really fun, but I've never really been too scared of clowns, and I feel that when you go through a lot of clown mazes, the scares aren't always ramped right up, because being scared of clowns is quite a common fear, and a lot of parks, just having a clown does a lot of the heavy lifting already. But as I'm not too scared of them, it was just not my favourite. Hellaments, that was the worst maze of the night for me. It was giving very much Vulcan Peak, but a little bit better. A little bit better than Vulcan Peak, but still absolutely not something that I would consider waiting much time at all for ever again. And I think it was made worse by the fact that that was the longest queue that we actually had all night. The Chop Shop, I really liked. Chainsaws do get me. Chainsaws were making me jump around every corner and dance a little bit. The beginning was really interesting, but then I think the corridors kind of going. I don't know if it's meant to instill a sense of worry that it's not going to end, and it just kind of felt that it went a little bit too long towards the end. I wish they had a bit more variety. That gave me kind of a Thorpe Park Fright Nights vibe, like early Fright Nights, where it's, just winding back in over yourself in an old unused queue line. That's the kind of feeling I got from that one. The Creepy Cottage, that was so much fun. I didn't have major scares, wasn't expecting major scares. It's not rated as a really scary one. It's rated as a much milder scare experience. But the Creepy Cottage, I think everything in there was just really cool. The effects, some of the mannequins, I genuinely thought were real at first glimpse, and they did make me jumped at my own reflection. It was just a really good atmosphere, really classic. I really like that kind of ghostly horror as well. The island, I have mixed feelings towards. Actors making kind of animal noises and jumping around in a bit more plain sight doesn't really do it for me, and it was a bit too long. I'd heard a lot of complaints that maze was a bit too long, and I do have to say I do agree with those complaints of the island being too long. I would say I'd like to have it shortened, because there were also a million dead spots in the island. It was a lot of nothing happening. Coven of 13 was one that I was really excited for. Love witches, and I'd heard some awesome things about some of the effects used in Coven of 13. But I think that it was another case of there were a lot of dead spots when we went through there, and we were really held back by a group in front not being pushed through fast enough. And so there was a group in front that were too scared, and they were getting all the attention, and we were seeing absolutely nothing new for ourselves. Nothing was new because we were seeing and hearing it all from the group in front of us. And then because we were held up by the group in front, the group behind also caught up, and they were a really noisy bunch. So I think that just wasn't the pacing just wasn't correct, because of some people moving through a bit slow. But I was really actually thrown off by a couple points in there, especially the room at the end. I had either not heard of it or totally forgotten about the room at the end, and that had thrown me off, and that was really effective, and that was really, really awesome. Yeah, so we had a really good time. I just have really insanely high expectations. It was still probably my favourite Halloween event, because even though that sounds like a lot of negatives, actually everything in my mind is just so much more positive. Just had so much fun just getting into the Halloween spirit, and they really embody all of that in effects, in design, in just atmosphere, and you know, just vibes, I guess. I didn't want to say vibes, but it was Halloween vibes. It was really fun. And yeah, because thinking about last year and the Halloween events we went to last year, it was just so much better than what we did last year. So again, I think my expectations are really high, and while Shocktoberfest didn't break my expectations, I thought I would be generally too scared. I might have rambled on a little too long there. Slight interruption, and I'm back, and yeah, I don't think I have anything more to add. Halloween wise and event wise, what you can expect from videos. I am heading to Blackpool Pleasure Beach for Chessington Howl-o-ween nights. First time going to that event, so I'm super stoked for that one. Alton Scarefest the next day, which I don't go to too regularly. Last time we went was 2020. And then hopefully capping off the Halloween season with Thorpe Park just before Halloween. And then otherwise I'm considering possibly going to Chessington Howl-o-ween, which I did do last year, but without creepy caves. I'm not sure how invested I am in going there. And then Legoland Brick-or-treat, kind of as a little thing that I haven't done before. Been to Legoland, just not been to Brick-or-treat. So thank you so much for watching. If you're looking forward to more Halloween stuff, subscribe. More roller coaster stuff, subscribe. And theme parks and yada yada yada. Leave a like and a comment if you can. That would really, really help. And thank you so much for watching to the end if you have. See ya.